This is The Allusionist, in which I, Helen Zaltzman, am still receiving languages post from when it used to live here. Can I stop forwarding it now? It's been years. By the way, if you've never beheld inwitches.tumblr.com, do behold it. To go with every episode's Inwitch, there is a lovingly chosen GIF, thanks to Ushra who curates them. Do I sometimes worry about the Inwitch I've written giving Ushra a hell of a chore? I do. Do I do it anyway? Yes, sorry. For today's instalment of 4-letter word season, we are hopping from Bane to Bain to Bath, via doll's eyes, placentas and curses. Listen to other episodes in 4-letter word season down your pod feed, including ones about the scandal suffix gate, the word park, the F word and the C word, and the D word, which is dino, that one's not a read word at all. On with the show! You've heard my husband Martin Austwick's music on the podcast. Occasionally, very occasionally, I also let him speak on the podcast. Welcome back to the show, Martin, for your annual-ish visit.
Oh, thanks. Last time I was talking about Schrödinger, wasn't I?
No, I think you talked about apples.
Apples?
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm an expert on. Martin,
what do you think of when you hear the word Bane, B-A-N-E?
I think of the Batman guy played by Tom Hardy.
In Old English, the word Bane meant a murderer or a devil.
Oh.
Another interesting fact to me is that word has the same root as barn, as in autobahn.
Really?
Yes, but it's not like auto-murderer, though. It's just the sense of cutting a swathe through something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Aside from the vernacular of someone saying bane of my life, I think I only really hear of bane these days in plant names. There's wolf's bane,
right?
Flea bane, bug bane, dog bane, leopard's bane. All these plants are poisonous.
Are these poisonous to those specific creatures?
It'd be amazing to discover that a plant is poisonous only to leopards.
I fed it to my dog, fine. Pet leopard, no.
I just need something to keep all these leopards out my flower beds, but I want the squirrels to be okay.
Yeah.
I think they used to use banes to put poison on arrow tips when they were killing wolves.
A wolf's bane, right, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
And dog's bane. And I suppose if you're trying to kill a flea with an arrow.
That's a weird one. Is it just like flea bane is like slightly poisonous? So maybe it would kill a flea, but it wouldn't kill a person.
Just has a kind of insect repellent vapor.
Or maybe like it makes you really itchy when you get it on your skin.
Yeah, well, these plants are very poisonous to humans. They have been used in medicine since ancient times, and I think still in some cultures. Mm-hmm. You have to really know what you're doing, because while they might help with a cold or as an analgesic, they can really kill you. Now, Martin.
Yes.
You have recently written a song about poisonous plants.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
What's the inspiration for that?
You were there.
It was when you poisoned me with a plant, wasn't it?
That's right.
Wife's bane.
Is that where I won?
No.
I bet it is.
Where did this idea for a song about poisons come from?
We were visiting a stately home and it had some historical connections. We went to talk about medicine that was in the 18th or 17th century when this house was in its prime, right? So it was a lot of like herbalism. There was some stuff about amputation. It's one of those talks that, when you go to a talk and they just really focus on the grimmest parts of that age of history. And for history, medicine, that's obviously very unpleasant. So it's all amputations and people swelling up with pus and popping and horrible stuff.
Crowd pleasers.
And at some point, this person started talking about the fact that this stately home, which again is open to the public for a small fee, families can visit, children, animals, etc. This person wanted to have a poison garden, and the stately home nixed this idea, to which this docent said, well, I wanted to have this poison garden, but I suppose it's not woke. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating that they'd hung on to this particular word. Like, if they'd said, it's health and safety gone mad, I would have disagreed, but at least they would have been correct.
Would have been the right jargon to pick.
It's like they've got hold of the wrong word, but it's the same concept of like, the liberals won't let me do the thing that I want to do.
It is one of the hottest linguistic trends of the past decade, people using the word woke who don't understand what woke is supposed to mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes deliberately. I think in this person's case, they were just like, woke means nope.
Yeah, this person was a little odd. I doubt they were very online.
It's not very 17th century herbalist.
No, it's not. Absolutely. Even if you're careful and you're correct that there's not a huge safety risk here, there's a small risk that an animal or a child might get into the poison garden and get it on their skin or eat it, and then that child or animal will get very sick. So it didn't seem particularly woke to me to say you're not allowed to have a poison garden at a place that's open to the public. But it was intriguing to me that they got hold of this phrase somehow, and to them it just meant I'm not allowed to do the things I used to do when I was younger because the world has changed in a way that I think is nonsensical.
I don't know whether there was a peak of poisoned gardens in this person's lifespan.
Huge in the 70s.
Well, let's hear the song that this absence of poison garden inspired.
I suppose it isn't woke now to have a poison garden, to be polishing my doll's eyes in the colour and the bracken. I'll slip on my foxgloves to tend the silky oak. To have a poison garden, I suppose it isn't woke. I suppose sitting on my porch, nursing a cup of tea, with a little splash of brandy, chuckling very softly at the dying children that I lured into my garden. I suppose that isn't woke. I suppose that isn't woke. I suppose hatred isn't woke. I suppose that's out of fashion. I suppose dictatorships aren't woke. I suppose they'd call that fascism, the hunger, plague and war and death of which the Bible spoke. I suppose you're here to tell me liking horses isn't woke. Soaking in the close of day, watching it all slip away, sinking like a stone in the water of your heart. A well you somehow fell into, and I'm so glad that I'm not you, but I suppose that isn't woke. I suppose that isn't woke, but you can't deny biology. Nightshade and red castor bean, oleander, rosary pea, winter cherry and strychnine, hellebore, wild rosemary, bloodroots and black bryony, passion flower, herb berry, belladonna, Mayday tree.
There's a reference in there to some deep Orstwick family lore. Doll's eyes.
Yeah. This has a double meaning.
Yeah,
so
doll's
do you want to
eyes.
hear the Orstwick meaning first?
No, I want to save that.
Okay.
Doll's eyes are also... They're a bane!
Yeah, they're a poisonous berry. White baneberry. They do look incredibly weird.
Yeah, they look like those models in school chemistry of atoms joined together.
Yeah, it looks like a long carbon chain with like the little hydrogen atoms in white, but those little hydrogen atoms are like weird eyeballs, like snake's eyes.
They're little white balls joined by red sticks.
Yeah. The berries contain cardiac toxins which have immediate sedative effects.
Yeah, they can cause cardiac arrest, they can cause hallucinations, respiratory paralysis. Very dangerous. Very dangerous berry. Used in Native American medicine for coughs, colds and itches, though.
Oh, really?
Again, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
With poisonous plants.
With doll's eyes.
But in the Orstwick family,
yes,
doll's eyes are a part of a saying.
My great-grandmother, she had this expression. You know when people ask you where you're going, I'm just going to go out. What you doing? And you don't want to tell them, and it's too complicated to explain. Yeah. The classic way of deflecting inquiries is to say, I'm going to see a man about a dog. Mm-hmm.
Or a horse. Going to see a man about a horse.
Is that a real thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think I grew up in a slightly less posh part of the country than you
No, I think that was a gambling thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that does make sense. Well, so what she would say, instead of I'm going to see a man about a horse dog, is she would say, I'm going to see Nicky Pluff. And if you said, who's Nicky Pluff? She would say, Nicky Pluff, the doll's eye polisher. And which is the weirdest way. It's such a weird way to deflect.
And while you were standing there with your mouth agape and your head involuntarily shaking, she would make her escape.
Yeah, I think by the time you'd passed what's happening, she'd be out the door.
Nicky Pluff, the doll's eye polisher.
Nicky Pluff, the doll's eye polisher.
If this was in anyone else's family vernacular, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, actually, that'd be really, really interesting. She's the only person I know to have said this, but that doesn't mean she invented it. There may have been someone else she got it from.
Well, maybe it is symptomatic of how the business of doll's eye polishing has really dried up in the intervening decades.
Doll's eye polishing.
From Bane, B-A-N-E, to Bain, B-A-I-N, which was sometimes an alternate spelling of Bane, but I want to talk about it in its other job, which is being the French word for bath, and specifically in the term bain-marie, the cooking contraption, the bain-marie. What is it? It's a double boiler. What's that? It's like a pan inside another pan, and in between the pans there's warm water. Why? It's for when you're cooking something that you don't want to get too hot, like if you're melting chocolate or making hollandaise sauce. What's that? It's an emulsion of egg yolks and butter, usually with a squeeze of lemon. Like a hot mayonnaise? Sure. Why is it called hollandaise then? Is it from Holland? No, it's French. So why? It was named during the Franco-Dutch War and somehow ended up named after the opposing force. Why? I too would love to know, but that is difficult information to find out. One source even prefaced their incorrect explanation with the phrase, according to history. That's not a meaningful attribution. I know, right? You know béarnaise sauce, yeah? Yeah? Is béarnaise sauce mayonnaise made with bears? As I was saying, the bain-marie, when I thought about the cooking device, the bain-marie, think about them a lot, do you? Not a great deal, no. Always dreaming of a bain-marie. I can't say I am. Got bain-maries on the mind? Rarely. Oh, there goes Helen, off to contemplate the bain-marie. Again? I know, it's her simmering obsession. Oh, come on now, did I hurt you in a past life? Ooh, someone's boiling with rage. Careful now, we've got a meltdown. Are you nearly done? Yeah, okay. Done like a hollandaise sauce that has gone pale and creamy. Are they gone? When I thought about the cooking device, the bain-marie, which, as I said, has rarely, if ever, happened, I deduced it would translate to English as Mary's bath, and glancingly assumed it was another thing named after Mary, Mother of Jesus, because there are lots of things named after Mary, Mother of Jesus, as well as many places and people there are ladybirds or ladybugs. Our ladies' bugs, there is a whole episode in the back catalogue about that. Mariposa, the Spanish word for butterfly, because butterflies look like Mary's praying hands. The plants known as marigolds, or Mary's golds. Choose your explanation for why they are so named. To honour her with gold, because they bloom around the time of the Feast of the Annunciation of Mary on the 25th of March, because they were used to decorate church altars. Anyway, so many Mary, Mother of Jesus named things that I thought the bain-marie would be another, for no special reason, not because she simmered Jesus until he was fully cooked, or because in a biblical mistranslation she was said to be good at tempering chocolate. Nope. The bain-marie is named after another ancient Mary, the Egyptian alchemist known as Mary the Prophetess, also known as Mary the Jewess and Maria the Sage, and by several variants of the name Mary and the word prophetess. Most of what we know about Mary the alchemist comes from another alchemist from Egypt, Zosimos of Panopolis, who wrote the first known text on alchemy. And in it he writes about and quotes influential alchemists from ancient to him times, like Mary, of whom he seemed to be a big fan. Subsequent to Zosimos, people repeated the claims that he had made about Mary, and added more to join her biographical dots. She was sometimes conflated or confused with Miriam, sister of Moses, or with Mary Magdalene, close personal friend of Jesus, or they said she had cradled Jesus as a baby, or that she lived 500 years before he was even born. None of these things were likely true, but add a substance to the base metal and maybe it'll make gold. Mary was one of the top 52 alchemists, according to Ibn al-Nadim's Fihrist, the catalogue of 10,000 books in Arabic and their authors, that was published in the year 987. Mary may have been making hydrochloric acid centuries earlier than its presumed manufacture. She would make clay, glass and metal ovens sealed with fat and starch. She had the treasured ability of making cardinal purple pigment, a byproduct of making sulfuric acid, and she stated that, akin to a living being, metal was the body and the vapour was its spirit. Zosimos credited her with inventing several pieces of apparatus. The kerotakis, a device used to melt metals and collect their vapour, or as a furnace for sulphur or arsenic. The tribikos, which was a triple-spouted distiller, and the Balneum Mariae, the Bain Marie, Marienbad in German, but not named after Mary until the late 1200s or early 1300s, by Arnaldus de Villanova, who was doctor to several popes, and also probably an alchemist himself. Did Mary invent the Bain that bears her name? No. Most sources put Mary the alchemist as living within the first 2 centuries of the Common Era, so the Bain Marie almost certainly preceded her. It appears in the medical writings of Hippocrates around 400 BCE, and in the botanical work of Theophrastus in the 4th century BCE, and in the recipes written by Cato the Elder in his farming manual De Agricultura from the year 165 BC. It's the oldest known surviving work of continuous Latin prose. Cato advises cooking an urneum, a mixture of flour, sheep's cheese and honey, in an earthenware jar plunged into a copper pot of hot water. So a double boiler, like a Bain Marie. And when it's cooked, you smash the earthenware jar to eat it. This is a variation on Cato's recipe for placenta, a cake also made of sheep's cheese, flour, honey, and sheets of dough. No bodily organ placentas are in there. In fact, placenta as a term in biology comes from this kind of cake, and the word derives from the Greek plakoenta, meaning flat. Words go on unexpected journeys, don't they? Placenta became more dramatic and Bain Marie became less. Mary was thought to have run her Bain Maries hot for heating up metals at the temperature of boiling water, whereas now the water in a Bain Marie is more usually no hotter than a simmer, because you don't want to scramble your hollandaise sauce. My tip for hollandaise: don't bother melting the butter, keep it cold and cut it into small cubes to whisk into the sauce. Mary's tip for a lower temperature to warm ingredients instead of the Bain Marie water: dung. Yeah, never accept eggs Benedict from an alchemist. From the French word for bath to the English word for bath, which is bath. And time, I thought, to refresh our memories of a piece I made, 8 years ago now. Yikes. I went to the English city of Bath, which is named after the historic baths that are there, to learn about an ancient way of venting rage. So let's travel back in time, 8 years, and then another couple of 1,000 years. Somebody has really ticked you off. You're all steamed up inside, and you want to vent that rage using words, but you don't want to confront the person directly because you're either too polite or too cowardly. So, do you A. subtweet them, B. with your finger scrawl an insulting message into the dirt on their car, or C. get a small sheet of lead, scratch into it a message cursing your enemy, roll it up and throw it into your nearest sacred spring? Oh, I forgot to mention, it's 1700 to 2000 years ago and you're living in the ancient Roman Empire, so the answer is C. a lead curse tablet.
If we look in this case to the right, we can see half a dozen curse tablets here. And above the case, there's a reference to something called UNESCO Memory of the World, which is one of UNESCO's schemes for recognising intangible cultural heritage. So it's not a monument. Actually, it's all to do with ideas and concepts, things like music and poetry and the things that go on in our heads. And the curses were added to the UNESCO register in 2014.
I think it's good to have a record of human bitterness and anger.
Yes.
Stephen Clews is the manager of the Roman Baths at Bath in southwest England, from which 130 ancient curse tablets have so far been fished out, dating from a 200 to 300 year period around 2000 to 1700 years ago. Curse tablets, called defictiones in Latin, are quite common artefacts. Around 2,000 of them have been found in sites across the former Roman Empire, 300 in Britain alone. At Bath, there's a lot of sludge at the bottom of the sacred spring that hasn't been dredged through yet, so the waters could well still contain further curses. Also, possibly more curses were written on materials that were not as durable as lead, so they've disintegrated into the once sacred hot spring waters that swirl away like a big vat of cursed soup.
Well, standing here on a balcony overlooking the spring, we can see it bubbling below us.
Rather beautiful green colour.
It is, yes, and they're actually found about probably, I'd say, about 6 metres from the end of my arm, going straight down, because we're looking down on this from really quite a great height.
The baths are a warren of pools and structures built above and below the present-day ground level. It's a many-layered place. There's been human activity at the site for thousands of years. There's evidence of Iron Age tribes there. The Celts built a shrine to the goddess Sulis a couple of thousand years ago. Then the Romans invaded and built a grand temple and a bathing complex. And then, on top of these, there have been many modifications and additions since. 12th and 16th century bathing facilities, an 18th century pump room, the 19th century museum and concert hall. Layers of construction piling up above the spring, previous incarnations obscured and forgotten, and beneath all of it, under the water, the curse tablets. They lurked in the bottom of the Bath baths for more than 1,500 years. Then, in the 1880s, one Major Charles Davis was doing some maintenance.
He was the city architect and engineer, and there was a problem with people in nearby houses complaining that water had penetrated their basements. Hot water, so logically enough, he assumed it came from the spring. And so amongst all the various operations he did, he broke down through the floor of the medieval bath to see what was going on. And he found beneath it the Roman chamber that had been built to encase the spring.
While trying to patch up the leaks in the chamber, Major Davis trawled through some of the deposits at the bottom of the waters.
In doing this, he recovered 2 lead curses. And he wasn't sure what to make of them.
So he sent them off to Germany, where the finest philologists set to translating the 2 curse tablets. One of them they managed to crack, partially. It was complaining of a theft of something called Vilbia, a Latin word they didn't know, so it might be a woman's name. The other they could not understand at all. That curse tablet perplexed translators for 100 years. Then, in the 1980s, a further 128 tablets were excavated from the baths, and at Oxford University, paleographer Roger Tomlin worked on translating them, including that pesky curse tablet from the first hall.
At which point, he realised that people had been trying to read it upside down. And having turned it the right way round, it then read like a conventional curse. But that, of course, is telling you how difficult it is to discern the lettering and so on.
Yes, to be fair, it's really difficult to read a curse tablet. First of all, the handwriting is not winning the tidiness prize at any calligraphy contests, and it's scratched into dark lead, so you need to shine a strong light across the tablet to see the writing at all. Many of the curse tablets were rolled up, and after so long being buffeted around in the spring, some of them are too fragile for archaeologists to unroll to see what's written on them. And not many of the ones they have unrolled are complete. So this little curse tablet we're looking at that looks like a sort of black cabbage leaf.
Yes, it does. It illustrates well the fact that they're fragmentary. There are very few of the curses that are whole and complete. Many of them are quite damaged.
Some of the tablets are mere fragments with just a few words or letters, and philologists have had to make educated guesses at the full curses.
So, to understand it, you have to take all the curses, which all have bits of fragmentary text, and then you realise that some of these phrases repeat. And so you can, by playing a kind of complex join the dots, you can get the sense of what many of the curses are about.
There is a bit of a format for the curses. It addresses the curse victim, name unknown, it outlines the complaint, then suggests a divine punishment for their crime. For example, that upside-down tablet that took a century to translate.
And the translation is, whether boy or girl, whether man or woman, whoever has stolen it is not to be permitted. Possibly. Then some broken text, unless any innocence you are not to grant him nor sleep, unless that a bushel of cloud, a bushel of smoke may come.
So it's very eloquent sort of cursing.
It is, yes. It's very sort of poetic in style. This was clearly the way in which one should address a deity.
I suppose I hadn't thought of that, because I thought of people writing curses in anger, but not the fact that they had to be respectful to a deity whilst doing so.
Yes, I think that was the case.
And the reason for most of these curses found at Bath? Theft. Most commonly theft of money, blankets, tools, clothes, lots of clothes.
Bathing tunics were particularly popular as items for theft. We've got references to 3 bathing tunics having been stolen, also a number of other cloaks. Dochimedis had his gloves stolen. He asked that the person who had stolen them should, apart from returning the said gloves, should also lose both his mind and his eyes.
That is, I think, disproportionate.
It is in terms of modern thinking. But of course, you have to put your mind into a different mindset. One lady who had a bronze bowl stolen seeks its restoration and asks that it be filled with the blood of the person who has stolen it. So, that's the way life was.
A hard life, but one that was at least enlivened by the opportunity to come up with inventive and lurid punishments for your enemies. There was one curse tablet found in Cyprus in 2008 that was inscribed, "May your penis hurt when you have sex." Don't know what crime that was in response to, but it's a compelling punishment for all sorts of offences. And at the time, there wasn't a police force, so I get why people channeled their desires for justice into these furious pleas to the gods. But why would you throw your curse tablet into a bath?
Well, of course, this wasn't a bath, it was a spring. And it was, it still is, a hot spring. So it's an unusual place. And the phenomenon of hot water coming out of the ground was something that in Roman or indeed pre-Roman times was something for which no one had any natural explanation. So if you have something happening for which there is no natural explanation, then the explanation's obvious. It must be the work of the gods. So therefore, if this is the work of the gods, it's a place where you might find the gods. And so it might be a place where you could communicate with them. Far better here than in the middle of a ploughed field or perhaps at home in your backyard. So people came to these special places as pilgrims to worship the presumed deities of these locations.
And it was common to many cultures across the ancient world, that notion of water being sacred and therefore a fast track to contact your deities. People threw lots of different objects into sacred waters, buttons and clothing, weapons, models of body parts that they wanted cured of ailments, or gifts like money or gold hair ornaments or engraved plates to thank the deities for curing the aforementioned ailments or performing other such favours. The idea still has a hold on people in the present day, judging by how many coins are thrown into water features at shopping malls. Thinking about it now, all this time later, I have further questions about water being used as a messaging service to one's favoured deity. Does the deity receive dirty shower water with the same spirit as coins and gold ornaments? And if so, does the deity become angry about it? Or are they like, "Oh, just what I wanted, greyish soapy water"? I envy the idea of cathartically lobbing a curse into the beyond, especially as I no longer use Twitter anymore, so where are my rants and ires supposed to go now? Not into the water supply. Water has enough to deal with without being polluted by my peeves. What do you recommend instead? Transforming rage into something righteous and productive? Well, that would be a form of alchemy I could do with. Thanks to you for listening. If you like the show, please recommend it to other people. This is a huge help to an independent show like mine and costs you nothing. If you like giving help that costs you money, from as little as $2 per month, you can become a member of the Allusionist and help keep this show afloat. Your assistance in that way is vital because, frankly, it is hard to be a professional podcaster right now. And what else am I good for? Apart from voice work, yes, I'm available. Hire these pipes. As well as funding more podcasts, your contributions get you regular live streams where I read aloud from my ever-increasing collection of reference books while Martin plays relaxing music. And you get behind-the-scenes scoops about the making of every episode. And you get the company of your fellow Allusionauts in the Illusiverse Discord community, where lately we've been watching the new series of Great British Sewing Bee together and discussing such topics as naps, furnishing a new flat, and is cheesecake technically toast? Or is it technically a pizza? Food semantics, always a head scramble. Anyway, join us via theallusionist.org/donate. Your randomly selected word from the dictionary today is manticore, noun, a mythical beast typically depicted as having the body of a lion, the face of a man, and the sting of a scorpion. Try using manticore in an email today. This episode was produced by me, Helen Zaltzman, on the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh nations. The music is by Martin Austwick, including his new song Poison Garden, which isn't out anywhere else yet. A new album is coming soon, but you can listen to the songs he has released hitherto via palebirdmusic.com and Palebird on Bandcamp. You can also hear us both on our very long-running and recently revived podcast, Answer Me This. Find this year's new episodes and nearly 15 years of old episodes at answermethispodcast.com. Recently, Martin and I made a beautiful combination of words and music about typefaces and torrid emotions. It's called Souvenirs, and in the UK you can currently listen to it on BBC Sounds, and outside of the UK you can search for Falling Tree Archive and it's up there for posterity. If you would like us to perform Souvenirs live at your arts festival or shindig of some sort, get in touch, and I've linked to Souvenirs on the show's website too, where you can also find links to follow the show on whatever remains of the social internet, information about upcoming events, hear or read every episode, including all of the other ones in 4-letter word season, and see the full dictionary entries for the randomly selected words, all at the show's forever home, theallusionist.org.